7:05 a.m. You're stirred from your Saturday morning slumber by a light buzzing coming from the other side of the room. Almost instinctively, you dash across the room to turn off your vibrating phone. The phone shows one unread text message from a number you don't recognize. Received 7:05. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm scared, alone. I don't know what to do anymore. I've decided to document what happens with these text messages in the unfortunate event that I'm unable to tell the story myself. You're struck with an unnerving feeling, but your mind isn't clear enough to fully comprehend what you've just read. It's too early for this. You decide to head back to bed and deal with all this later. 9:10 a.m. Your phone's familiar buzz rings through your head as you wake up to find another unread message. The number is the same as the first message, and the feeling the words give you isn't much different either. Received 9:10. I've decided the bathroom would be a good place to hide. I swear I can hear footsteps coming toward me. I heard them for hours. I need to find a way out, but I'm too afraid to move. It feels like the walls are closing in on me. All I know is that I need to get out of here. It's not safe. You're starting to get worried. You want to help and you try to reply, but you're unsure of what to say. You try to shrug the messages off as some kind of prank, but doing so doesn't seem to make the anxious feelings go away. For now, you decide to go about your day as you normally would. 11:14 a.m. It's been 2 hours. The anxiety has nearly subsided. You find yourself unable to eat. This unexplainable feeling has had an effect on your appetite. Then, right on cue, you hear that same unpleasant sound. Received 11:15. I decided to run. Just run. I have no plan, but I've got to find an exit somewhere. The doors are all locked. Now there's nowhere else for me to go. I feel cornered, and the footsteps just keep getting louder. Needless to say, these messages are starting to get to you. You can't deal with this. You decide to just let it go. Ignore the feelings, ignore the messages. There is no reason for you to get involved with this. You hear your phone buzz many times in the next few hours, but you try your best to block out the noise. 4:01 p.m. Another buzz. The anxiety is becoming overwhelming. Enough is enough. You check your phone to find 4 more unread messages, all from the same number as before. Received 12:13. I don't know how long I've been running. The footsteps won't go away. I can't escape them, no matter how fast I run. They just keep getting louder, and they're starting to seem ubiquitous. Received 1:06. I can't run anymore. The footsteps are deafening, and there's pounding on the walls all around me. I must be going insane. There are voices in my head. The halls are speaking to me, but the words are unintelligible. Received 2:24. The footsteps, the voices, every sound has stopped. All that's left is a horrific ringing. My ears have begun to bleed. My hearing is nearly gone, and it feels like my vision is beginning to fail as well. Nothing seems to be the colour it should be. The once large array of colours has now turned into various shades of black and red. The heat in here is unbearable. I'm drenched in sweat. Received 4:01. I'm seeing shadows out of the corner of my eye. The walls are constantly moving. I keep trying to convince myself that this is all just a sick dream, but the heat, the shadows, the blood, it's all so real. I feel helpless. At this point, you are convinced that this is no joke. You need to find him, save him. But how? What could you possibly do to help? All you can do right now is wait for the next message. Received, 5:12. I've started to pound my head against the wall in an attempt to make the voices stop. I feel like I'm surrounded, constantly watched by someone or something. Make it stop. Please, just make it all stop. Received, 5:56. There is so much blood. The pain doesn't seem to bother me anymore. It's my only distraction from this madness. I'm beginning to feel numb. I'm not sure how much longer I'll make it. If you are reading these messages, stay far away from Bellevue High School. There is something terribly wrong with this place. At that moment, you realize that whoever this person is, they are not that far away from you. You go to that high school. This could be your chance. You could save him. 6:25 p.m. You've made up your mind. You are going to that school. You've got no idea what you're going to do when you get there, but you know that you've got to do something. You've waited long enough. Received, 6:57. I can't take this. I can't take another second of this nightmare. There is so much blood. I can barely breathe. I'm certain this will all be over soon. It has to be. Blood. So much blood. Make it stop. Please. Just make this madness stop. You dart into the school and take a quick look around. The halls seem to be empty. Where is he? You expected to see a bloodbath. For the first time, you reply to the message. Sent, 7:02. I'm here. I'm at the school. Where are you? Almost instantly, you hear a buzz. Received, 7:02. I'm here. I'm at the school. Where are you? At first, you're confused. You reread the message over and over again. The pieces slowly come together in your mind. The messages you received all day, they were all sent from your phone. With that, the door slams shut behind you, and you start to hear footsteps coming after you. Scared and alone, you turn to run, catching a glimpse of the time displayed on the clock overhead. 7:05. Dave woke with a start, rubbing his grime-covered eyes. He stumbled to get off of his sofa as he tried to locate the faint ringing noise that had taken him out of his drunken slumber. He remembered very little about the night before. He only seemed to remember the blaring music of the party he had thrown to celebrate his graduation from college. The stench of vomit and cheap beer filled the air of his dingy townhouse. As Dave stumbled drunkenly around his thrashed living room, he noticed that the ringing he heard earlier had stopped. Finally, he realized that the ringing had been emanating from his phone, which had been buried underneath the red solo cups that had been filled with spiked punch the night before. He picked up his phone and noticed 4 voicemails left by his girlfriend and fellow graduate Adriana. He placed his phone to his ear to listen to the messages. his head throbbing like it was being crushed in a vice. "First message," recited a robotic voice. "Hey, that was a great party Jeff threw for you, am I right? I wanted you to know that I made it home in one piece. It seemed you had way more fun than I did last night, considering you were passed out on the couch when I left with Bree. I'm going to bed now, so call me back tomorrow. I love you so much, Dave. Bye." Memories of the night before started to flood back into his mind. He vaguely remembered his girlfriend leaving around 1:15, 20 minutes before the first message. He walked over to the bathroom to grab some aspirin as the robotic voice announced the next message. "Hey Dave, is that you outside my house? If it is, it's not funny. You know how easily I get scared. If it's you, just move something. Don't just stand there." As he sat back on the couch, he thought about the strangeness of that last message. The house was way too far for anyone in a drunken state to drive to, let alone walk. Dave lived about 15 minutes from campus, and Adriana lived with her cousin, Bree, about 14 minutes from campus, which made it impossible for someone who was in the state Dave was to get to her place. He hesitantly continued on with her messages. "Oh my god, I really don't think it's you." Phone drops and muffled shrieks are heard. "Holy hell, what is that? Dave, I really hope that isn't you. Whatever is outside my window, just turn towards me. Please, Dave, call back. It has a mask, Dave. Before, when I thought it was you, it was facing the street. But now it's halfway up my lawn and it's looking straight at me. It's wearing a mask, Dave. Please, call back. I need help." The shattered words of his girlfriend echoed through his mind. The thought of anything happening to Adriana scared him out of his mind. He realized that the next and final message was the call that had woken him up a few minutes ago. "Last message," the emotionless voice announced the next phone call. "Dave, I'm in the closet and I've called the police. It's been 30 minutes since I last called, and in that time, that thing made it to the door." Loud crashing sound. "Damn it, it's in the house. Dave, I can hear it in the house, and the police aren't even here yet. I love you so much. Please know that, in case I don't make it." At this point in the message, tears of horror made their way down Dave's face. "I can hear it in the room. It's just outside the..." Loud shriek and loud banging until the timer runs out on message. Dave couldn't believe what he had just heard. As tears streamed down his face, he noticed someone was standing at the end of his driveway, facing the street. I was a popular kid, like a brother to most people. I was in with the cliques, like the jocks, the nerds, and even the normal kids liked me, except stoners. The stoners were a bunch of kids who were considered weird by everyone in the school. They were all guys, except one girl, who was abused by her father and turned to drugs to control her pain. They all laughed when I messed up. If I ever tried to talk to them, they just smirked at me like I was some damn fool. They used to just hang out and listen to Pink Floyd and other rock bands. When I told my friends that the stoners didn't like me that much, they told me not to worry, that the stoners are all just cynical and depressed assholes who have nothing better to do. I wanted to prove myself to them, show them that I'm not some jock, that I would earn their friendship. Now that I think of it, I was kind of insecure back then. I used to point out the flaws of others and did the same things myself. One day, I had enough. I went up to them and told them I wanted some LSD. At first, they laughed at me. They thought I was joking. I stared at them with a determined face, and their smiles turned into frowns. They sold me some for $100. Pretty cheap. I went home and waited for my parents to go to bed so I could take it. I put it on my tongue and let it dissolve. It took less time than I expected. I waited an hour staring at the shows on TV. Soon, there was a white light coming from the floorboards. It felt warm, like the feeling when you put your hand near a light bulb. I went to get a crowbar out of the garage. I got the boards loose and looked down. I saw a ladder and went down it. I walked down a long dirt corridor with a stone path. I saw a doorway with a sign, Harvest Area 22, authorized personnel only. I walked through the door into the hallway with 3 doors. I went through the middle one and went through another long dirt corridor. It felt like an eternity. I had wished it was. I saw thousands of pink humanoid creatures with clumps and pockets of skin. They had glowing yellow eyes, sharp mangled teeth, and long bony arms. They all walked with a hunch, almost dragging their nails along behind them. They looked confused, sad, and scared. There were hundreds of soldiers with large assault rifles. I could see the flags of the United States, Russia, and Great Britain. The soldiers wore black, red, and blue uniforms with gas masks on. The creatures all stopped and looked up at me. Thousands of glowing yellow eyes. I ran as fast as I could away from that place, and I went to my father's room. I didn't care if he was awake. I went in his closet and grabbed his shotgun and waited downstairs, aiming at the floorboard. I heard a sick, growling noise. It was coming closer. Its footsteps echoed down the long corridor. I had my finger pressed tightly against the trigger. One of the creatures came up the ladder. It looked directly at me, as if it was looking into my very soul. I tried to talk to it. I asked if it needed help, but all it could say was, "Coming." More footsteps echoed, sounded like hundreds of them. Then the gunshots came. It sounded like a massacre. The screams of those things are still in my head. The creature looked as if it were about to cry. I heard a voice yell, "Halt!" Then the sound of footsteps come towards the ladder. It felt so real. I just remembered I was on LSD. A soldier emerged out of the hole with a large revolver. He pointed it at the creature and pulled the trigger. The lime green blood splattered over me. The soldier threw the mangled body of the creature down the ladder. He said, "We will send a crew to clean this in the morning. Take this." He handed me a small pocket knife with a number 22 on the side of it. "For your protection." The soldier went back down the hole and disappeared. I went to bed, scared and alone. The next morning, I woke up and went down to eat breakfast. I saw the living room was still intact after last night. I was sure now it was a trip. I took the bus to school. I saw the stoner girl and said thanks about giving me the LSD. "You realize they pulled a prank on you, right? They gave you sugar tablets." The images of last night went through my head. The creatures, the soldiers. What had happened? I went home after school and tore up my room. and found a knife with the number 22 on the side.